This is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 7. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must need be, but the end shall not be yet. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 8, and it reads through the Holy Scriptures. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem Akarkadash. Shalom to the elders for preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered through the four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely as well too. And I say shalom to the Akim out there. This is a sit-down lesson that I want to bring out two news articles. And this first one from RT.com, published August the 15th, 2023, and it reads, direct war with NATO possible. Belarusian defense. It says, Belarusian's defense minister says, against the Western threat, nuclear weapons are a key deterrent. Viktor Karin stated, it is obvious that Russia and Belarus could find themselves in a direct conflict with NATO. Right, because the tensions definitely been escalating quite some time between Russia and NATO and its armies. Because you got Belarus and Russia, which is allies with one another. Tensions between NATO, as NATO is building up its nuclear capability, right along with Belarus and Russia doing the same thing as well too, vice versa. That's why the tensions are escalating between both sides. But continuing on, it said it is obvious that Russia and Belarus could find themselves in a direct conflict with NATO in the future. Belarusian's defense minister Viktor Karin said at the International Security Conference in Moscow on Tuesday. Karin warned that conflict it says Slovakia. It says on Tuesday, Karin warned that the conflict in Ukraine has morphed into a global confrontation between the West and the East. He told attendees that based on the increased arms and expenditure across the Western world, the conclusion is unambiguous. The possibility of a direct military clash with NATO in the future very obvious. It's not a coincidence that the Republic of Belarus considers the return of a tactical nuclear weapons to the territory as a effort factor of strategic deterrence, the minister added. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced March that Russian nuclear weapons would be stationed in Belarus in response to the UK's provision of toxic depleted Ukrainian ammunition to Kyiv. Moscow will only remove these weapons if the U.S. removes its own nuclear missiles from Europe and dismantle the infrastructure associated with them. Russian Foreign Minister officials Alaski Polishki said last month, if I pronounced the name right. It says Ukraine Western backers claim that they are not directly participating in the conflict in Ukraine and have avoided providing certain weapons, notably fighter jets, long-range missiles that would risk provoking a direct clash with Russia. Nevertheless, that they have sent carry more than 100 billion worth of arms, while ignoring Moscow's repeated warnings that every subsequent weapons package brings to the U.S. and NATO closer to active participation in the conflict. Furthermore, by enabling Ukraine's drone attacks on Russian civilians, Western nations have become sponsors of terrorism, the Kremlin has declared. There's no doubt that European power elites are focusing on a global war against the East. Covering said at the Moscow conference today, this battle has morphed into a global confrontation between the West and the East on the territory of Ukraine. The proxy war in Ukraine has actually put the planet on the brink of a third world war. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin has used similar language to describe the conflict, flaming it as an attempt by the U.S. and its subordinate allies to prevent the emergence of a multipolar world order. Russian troops are not just the fighting Ukraine military, he said last year, but the entire Western military machine. And this is another news article. This is from Voice of America and what's taking place over there in the border area. And this is from voiceofamericannews.com, published by Miroslav Gorngazi, if I pronounce his name right. As of August 15, 2023, 5:51 p.m., published by him. And this is from Voice of America News Europe, and it reads, Lithuanian boosts readiness at Belarus Border. And it says Lithuania, a NATO member with a population nearly 3 million, is beefing up its border security because of the presence of Wagner groups, mercenaries in Belarus has escalated security concerns. The VOA Eastern Europe Bureau Chief Mashkov Gongas report from the Lithuanian-Belarus border. I think that's all the reading right there. So this is bring out the book of Mark 13:7 once again. It says, but when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must need be, but the end shall not be yet. This is the book of Mark, chapter 13, verse 8, and it reads to the Holy Scriptures from BibleGateway.com. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom, for nation shall rise against nation. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. So with that, hopefully this lesson was edifying. I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Karkadash. Shalom to the elders for preaching the word truthfully and sincerely. And shalom to the Akim, scattered four corners of the globe, preaching the word truthfully and sincerely as well too. And until next time, I will say shalom.